Hello, everyone. There's Alex. It is Tuesday, going live. Hello. We get to see the beautiful
Hello.
papers in front of you instead of your face.
There you go. I'm working on it. There we go.
There he is. Hello. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So it looks
Excellent.
like it's just you and me for now.
Well, we had a few before. They might hop back
Okay.
on.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I think Allison's going to join us.
I think so too. I've been promoted from my side and trying. So how you been?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm ready for this quarantine to be over.
I feel that so much today,
I'm
especially.
ready. How are things going in your state? Because you're in Ohio, right?
I am in Ohio.
How's
It
it going over there?
is, it's just staying at home.
Man.
I go to the store and I walk outside. That's about it.
Are they being really strict? I know that at some point in Grand Rapids, they were stopping people who were not going for essential things. Like they were putting fines and everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was because our state at one point was one of the top three, and I think it's starting to slow down now.
Mm.
But yeah, cool. So do we want to wait for people to come in, or should we just start and see what happens?
You can get started. People will
Okay.
join us.
All right. Well, let's begin. So I came from a culture where my mom always said, "Ladies first," just to kind of introduce each other. We might have to do it again when more people come in. But yeah, let's get to know. Here's something I was thinking about earlier, a couple of days ago. So because I've known you, I follow your page. I have an idea of what it is you do with your coaching, the focus you've been doing. But think about for people who don't know you, who don't understand the idea of coaching. Thinking about like really like stuffy psychologists or social workers. They're like, good people, but they don't. Sometimes we don't understand the idea of coaching. So just tell us a little bit of what that looks like for you. What kind of drove you to it? How did it all start?
Yeah. So, since I was in like middle school,
Mm-hmm.
I've had people ask me if I was going to go into counseling, for
Uh-huh.
school. And I was like, nah, I don't want to get paid for that. I just like doing this. So I went into music education instead.
Okay.
But a
So you
few
play an
years,
instrument?
I play many instruments, but my primary is the
What?
flute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have your flute with you?
Yes.
Mm. Let me
No.
see. You know, I thought about it for a second, but I was like, let me take it easy first. Um, Anytime there's someone that's a musician, especially in my counseling sessions, I always be like, "Do you play? Show me something you played." I got really excited about it, and then look at me funny, like, "What's wrong with this dude?"
There's
Oh, we see
Allison. Woo.
Allison join
Woohoo.
with hopefully next to her husband Wyatt. It's actually through Allison that we met.
Yes.
It's funny enough, my wife's name is Allison, so we got two Allisons. So we're together, they say Allison, and they're both confused. So we've
I
gone.
I'm very familiar with that because my name is Jessica and it is very common amongst my age group.
True. So yeah, so it was through Allison, and we met. I know that Wyatt and Allison got married recently, which we got to see each other again, and uh, just kind of enjoying their wedding. We're really proud of them. We love them.
Hmm.
Actually, Wyatt, they texted me this morning with the most interesting question. Maybe we should talk about this. I think I'm going to bring it up.
Okay.
So I woke up. I was up super early this morning, um, and I've taken the week off from work just because I happen actually going to the clinic since the whole pandemic started. So I took a week off just because I had time. I really wanted to spend time with my family. So I woke up early. First day, second day off of vacation, and you wake up early. Weirdest thing, right?
Yes.
And I get this text from Allison and Wyatt, and they're like, "Hey, we want your opinion on this question. Here's the question. It's very interesting. they talked about what is, how do you define, or what's the difference between pity and compassion. Those are the word. So the difference. So how would you
Hi,
categorize
Miriam.
pity and compassion? Hello, Miriam. Welcome to our show. I'm Alex. I don't know if we know each other, but there we go. I'm
Miriam
getting
lives
some
in
hearts up in there.
Australia.
Yeah. Yes. So yes, welcome. We're talking about, and those who came a little late, I received a really cool question from my friend Allison and Wyatt about what is the difference between pity and compassion, or how would you distinguish them? So as we talk, feel free to just kind of put your thoughts in the chat, in the comments. We'll discuss it. Please join us. We're an interactive group. I may be old, but I'm kind of interactive and kind of ADD. I don't know if it's because I got young kids. So throw any questions, any thoughts. But right now, the main thought we're discussing is, this is for you, Jess. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
How would you define pity, and how would you define compassion?
So I don't know if you're familiar with the drama triangle, but in case anyone else is not.
I think I know it under another name, but go ahead. I may be wrong.
Okay, so the drama triangle has you have the hero, victim, villain, and you have this drama happening.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when I think of pity, I think of coming into the drama triangle and trying to hero someone, and they're not okay, and I need to save them, and I need to feel bad for them because of their situation. But when I think of compassion, I think of stepping out of the drama triangle and empowering that person to be lifting them up, and coming to a level of I can feel with you even if I haven't experienced the same thing as you.
Mm-hmm.
I have the same human emotions, so I can
Mm-hmm.
understand sadness, anger, pain. But I am not looking down on you and thinking of you as less than. I'm thinking of you as my equal, as a human being, and I want to empower you forward and support you in whatever way I can.
Okay. Well, it's a very good answer. It's actually not far from what I said. Looking at the big difference, I think, has to do with the intention and the purpose of that emotion, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So for those of you who don't know me, I am a mental health therapist. I have a master's in both psychology and counseling. I currently work at a clinic. Hashtag essential worker. Man, I can't do the hashtag because I'm holding the phone. But hashtag whatever. Yeah, I can't. I got holding the phone. I'd be dropping it. You'd be seeing the floor. It's not pretty. I got 2 kids. So yeah. So within that, I always talk to my patients about, emotions have a purpose, and when you feel something, it's good to ask a lot of what I call Socratic questions, like, why am I feeling this way? What's going on? Because I think as a culture, we are okay with certain emotions, and there's other ones we just completely shun, right?
And that also depends on what sex you are and what background you come from, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think when I think about pity, so my experience, energy and motion. I like what we're going to say, energy and motion. That sounds pretty awesome. So energy and motion. Was that what I think is closer to compassion, energy and motion. So for those of you who don't know, I'm originally from Dominican Republic, and I've lived there most of my life. And one of the things I did down there was a lot of community development stuff. And during that, I would have, groups from different parts of the United States, Canada, parts of Europe that wanted to come down and help out in some of the neighborhoods we were working at. And one of the hardest things, and I say this with a lot of care because I love when people's hearts are moved to do something. I don't want to discourage that. I say we need that now more than ever. But sometimes in the way we try to help others, we could be doing it in the spirit of pity. It's like, oh, you poor thing. Sorry, my camera's being funny. You poor thing. You can't help yourself. So I, the one with all the resources, I'm going to come to help you. Mm-hmm. Not that in of itself. It's like the attitude behind it is like, I have come as your savior, or you can't do this for yourself. Well, I think healthy compassion, right, involves the empathy part. I am trying to fully understand where you come from, how this affects you, trying to understand your point of view, and then walk with you and empower alongside you to make changes with whatever that is that you're struggling with. It's an issue, a cause, a personal family issue. You can have compassion, be like, man, I hurt for them because I have empathy for them, and I want to work with them to get them to improve that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So nice. Wow, we got a fan. Miriam's like putting all these awesome quotes in there. You go, girl. Don't be
Miriam's
shy.
amazing.
Allie, okay. So Allie's sharing that Allison's sharing that there's some about the idea of like our men apparently aren't allowed to feel compassion. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't have experience as a man, obviously, so but I can see where that narrative has existed in certain men
Mm,
in my life, where
mm,
they, because compassion is generally seen as a nurturing or feminine thing,
mm,
that might be why some men have not been allowed to feel compassion or not been encouraged to feel
mm.
compassion.
No.
But I think that's a lot of crap. Like it's like
Hey.
like feminine and masculine energy. I've been actually learning a lot more about that and like how every person has access to both. We have access to feminine and masculine energy, and like part of that, you get to access the different parts of yourself as
Mm,
with all of that. And so compassion is just a human thing to be able to um, feel for people and empower them, and that doesn't need to be seen as weak or feminine for whatever reason it sometimes
mm.
is, I think.
That's right. I agree with Miriam. Yes, bring it, Jess. Hey, shout out to Miriam. She's got some compassion in her tribe. We got to give her some love for that. We need, kind of following what you were saying. I remember in December I was hanging out, our mutual friend Ricky and his partner Nathan. They were doing like a holiday shindig, and we were talking to some of their friends. And I met a gentleman who shared me just, his life story. And he came from a similar culture as mine, and we both talked about how in our cultures, uh, we feel like the men have been deprived of the gift of healthy affection.
Mm.
Uh, so we had a really deep discussion about that, I'm still. I think it's a conversation that really moved me because I think, I shared my own experience, and luckily I came from a pretty affectionate, loving family. We're allowed to express that, but I know a lot of my friends wouldn't have that. But even with that, I struggle with that because I had these expectations as a man of what I should express or not. And then he was sharing about how, he had seemed to have a more extreme where he was discouraged from any feminine attributes.
Mm.
Um, I mean, this is a gentleman who's been a professional for a long time. I mean, he's more, he's an older gentleman. Just to hear him say that, because I got to know a little bit of like what his background, and he's like well knowledge, well educated, well known in the community. For him to say that was really powerful to me. I think we don't do that. So things like, so it's easy for men to have pity because it's a more masculine, like, I'm going to help you because I got the resources. Then
Mm-hmm.
compassion be like, man, like, I feel with you. Like, do I take the time to understand? Do I take the time to allow the person who's seen as less than to lead their own like healing and process? Uh, yeah, and I think, Miriam, man, we got a lot of comments here. Yeah, things like saying that men don't cry. Miriam, you got to say that, and we discourage them from feeling that emotion. So I have an 8-year-old son who is more emotionally delicate, and by that he is more open to expressing his emotions. He's the kind of kid that when he falls and trips and nothing, he's not hurt, but he'll cry or he'll be like, "I'm really sad about it." But my daughter, she's like, she'll fall, she'll be like, "I'm okay," and she'll keep going. You know, um, and it's been interesting for me because I've caught myself like unintentionally doing these things of like, "Hey, don't cry." So I just kind of been like, "Hey, there are some good times, some times where we need to get actions." There was one time where he fell and someone was coming towards him, and his reaction was to stop and cry, which
Mm.
I don't want to discourage that, but when someone's about to hit you, so I'm kind of like, before you get there, check your surroundings, make sure you're safe first, and then we try to help them kind of engage those emotions um, in the best way we can. But he's one that definitely is very free to do that, and I didn't have that as much as he did.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I was when I was in college, I can you still hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I had a friend in college who we were having a conversation in the I spent a lot of time in the cafeteria because I liked to study in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
I loved the noise and the people and the energy there. But I
See,
had
that's what you're a
mhm.
much more. Uh, I think of the word in Spanish. I can't think of the word in English. You're much more determined than I am, and I went to the cafeteria for food.
Both. I went there for food and for people and for study. Like I spent a lot of
Yes.
time in the cafeteria. So I just remember being in the cafeteria when we were having this conversation, and he ended up crying. I don't remember the subject or what we were talking about, but he was
Yeah.
crying, and I was just holding space for him and allowing for him to cry. And like um, as as he as we ended the conversation, I had,
Mm.
been very much saying like it's okay to cry, and he was like, Jess, do not ever stop telling men that it's okay to cry because we need to hear it over and over and over again because we've been told that the opposite
Yeah.
most of our life. And so I've spent most of my time telling men that, but then also anytime someone tells me to stop crying, I check them very quickly
Yeah.
because that is my way of expression and that's how I express. And I actually really enjoy crying. There's a release that happens, and
Mm.
I'm actually allowing myself to move to the end of my feeling. And if I don't do that, there's some
Yeah.
dysfunction that ends up happening.
Absolutely. No, going back to the words of that gentleman I met in December, and he was talking about Latino men in general. We have been deprived, and I love that word, deprived of the gift of emotional expression and emotional affection by other men, like healthy emotional affection. And that makes me really sad because I'm like, what a gift it is to be able to really be in touch and empathize with others, especially when you're in a field like mine. As a counselor, as a psychologist, our job is to walk with people and to walk
Mm-hmm.
with people. A lot of the times, actually, I always tell my patients at the beginning, the first 3 or 4 sessions, I'm going to be inquisitive because I want to get to really understand your worldview. Where do you come from? The hardest part of that is, patients come to me. So I work at Clinica Santa Maria, which is, I believe, the only Hispanic centered clinic for the Grand Rapids area, right? So most of my patients are, usually are first, second generation from Latin America.
Mm-hmm.
And they are used to this model of like, well, I'm going to go see the doctor, the psychologist, and they're going to tell me what to do. Because they're always like, doctor, what should I do about this? So a lot of it is, we're really trained about like, we don't just throw out personal opinions as clinical uh, facts, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to
Mm-hmm.
distinguish them. And in these cultures, people take opinions as facts.
Mm.
Like, let me give you an example. My grandma, God rest her soul, she is. I have learned so much from my grandma. Her name is Esperanza. So my grandma is half Lebanese and half Dominican. And her Arabic name is actually quite beautiful. Her Arabic name is Nejia, which
Mm.
also means hope, which is her Spanish name, Esperanza. So my grandma, and we call her Apa for sure because we love her. Um, and I remember for a long time she started growing these like aloe vera trees and making her own syrup. And someone told her, a neighbor told her that aloe vera cures everything. And I mean everything. Me and my cousins would be like, yo, don't cough around Appa, man. She's going to make you drink. Have you ever had like liquefied aloe vera with no sweetener?
No, I have not.
Okay, if
It
anybody who's
probably
watching
tastes
has
awful.
tried that, please comment your experience. I want to hear. For me, it was the most, and it still is the most disgusting taste in the world. It's really healthy for you. It will help with a lot of things, but it is so nasty. But she really believed, and for a long time, it's like, well, you got problems with your marriage? Here, have some aloe vera syrup. like, like no joke. Have some aloe vera syrup. It's gonna make your life better. I'm like, what? I mean, we couldn't even like breathe the wrong way. We'd be like, you got something in your chest. Let's put aloe vera and give you a couple of spoonfuls. So the power of opinion. So going back to that. So in a culture where that's very common, uh, it's hard to part because people just want to be told what to do. When I tell them, like, no, we got to walk through these emotions. We have to. I have to give you every side of what you're going through, and then empower you to make a choice in what to do. Because again, there's a lot. Like some things, and one of the things I do with my patients, I do a values inventory. So I like, what are the things that are important to you as a person, as a family, as a culture, right? So it's important for me that according to their values, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if they live according to their values, they tend to be healthier and happier, right? Not perfect, but healthy and happy. That's what we're looking for. So, and I think that desire to want to be told what to do comes from I think a culture that discourages processing emotions, sometimes discourages critical thinking. I remember as a kid when I asked why, when, why are we doing this, they'd be like, the phrase in Spanish, calladito te ves más bonito. Quiet, you look better. That's literally what they would tell me.
Well, and that comes from a place of like
Yeah.
survival, right? Because
Oh
if
yeah,
you
absolutely.
were speaking like whatever government or whatever the powers that be, you could
Mm,
get killed for saying things like that. So
mm,
for being loud or sharing your opinion or
for
whatever.
sure.
And so, but generally speaking, we now live in a
Mm,
society. If you're watching this, you're probably not in a space where you have to be completely like in survival mode. You have a phone, you have an internet connection. And so there's that shift from scarcity to abundance, and when
yeah.
you're moving into that, like